And now, the starting lineup of your favorite show. At producer, 5'11" from Blanchester, the Cow Killer, Casey McAllister. And comic engineer, standing at 4'8", the pride of the West Side, Elliot Rearing. And your host, weighing 150 pounds, soaking wet, from Hamilton, Ohio, Ace Fowler.
Listen, when I woke up this morning, what is that? What theme song is that? When I woke up this morning, that's the Sopranos theme song, right? I think that is. I just thought of that. Shout out to me. But I woke up this morning and I was feeling good. I got up. Yeah, it's a little rainy, but I'm not concerned about that. I got in my car. I drove on the way here. It was a decent drive. I have to deal with nonsense construction, but that's beside the point. I made it to work safely, Casey, and I did it without getting falsely imprisoned by the Louisville Police Department. So shout out to me. I made it here. Nobody got me. Nobody arrested me. I will say this. I was reading that story all morning, and we are going to talk about it today. I was reading the story this morning, and I passed a cop car going about, I want to say 8 miles over the speed limit. It was probably 8, maybe 7. I try to keep it around 7 miles over, because once you get over 10, it's like fair game. They're going to pull you over if you're going over 10. But if you're going under 10, usually police officers give you the benefit of the doubt. I drove by him at 8 miles over the speed limit, Casey, and I did not get pulled over, nor did I get arrested. So that's always a good start. Welcome on into Off the Bench. If you're listening on the radio or your car, wherever you're listening to, thank you very much for tuning in. I am Elliot Rearing. That is Casey McAllister.
That's right.
The show, again, starting Monday, it's going to be a little bit different. So we're going to try to transition you into that with this crazy show. But saying that, and by the way, Casey, and just a little inside baseball, I'm going to need some. I'm going to probably try to keep track on my phone again, but I might get lost every now and then with the time. So I'm gonna set my little timer up.
We're 3 minutes in, just letting you know.
Okay, all right. So that sounds great. Listen, we got a big show for you today. We're talking Reds baseball. We know what happened last night. We're talking Elly De La Cruz. We're talking about the bullpen. We're talking about the win over the Dodgers, which apparently the Reds just own the Dodgers now.
Apparently.
We're going to talk about Scottie Scheffler. We're going to talk about some more NFL schedule stuff. I'm going to bring on my good friend, Reds Daily. And they say, oh, Elliot only brings his friends. Reds Daily is a very, very big Twitter account. If you don't like me, yell at him. So we'll talk with him about the Cincinnati Reds as well. I've got a great show. Casey, how are you this morning?
Elliot, I'm doing pretty good. Yesterday we did a graduation for the Middletown. That was great.
Yeah.
We were out late, but after that I went home, watched some Reds, watched Elly De La Cruz almost break the team record, I believe, in stolen bases.
Almost. He tried.
I believe that everyone's mad at Mike Ford for not just taking that hit by pitch or whatever. Oh well. Is what it is. He got 4. I mean, that's still pretty crazy. The last time that happened was in 2012, I believe is what I saw.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing. The dude is just fantastic to watch.
Yeah, I'm going to start off with that. Reed usually does a monologue. I'm going to do a little monologue. Because I was sitting back last night, and I wanted to take a minute to do this. So I was sitting back last night watching the game, and it's just crazy that we get to watch Elly De La Cruz. When a player has this much hype around him, very rarely does he meet those expectations that the fan base gives him. It's even crazier when the player exceeds those expectations. And this is a guy who a lot of the fan base at the beginning of the season, including myself, doubted Elly's ability. And I don't know if it's because when the brightest light, you're just drawn to it and you're just looking at every little thing. I don't know what it was. But clearly a part of this fan base didn't want to believe how good he was. Elly De La Cruz being a Cincinnati Red is probably the coolest thing to happen to me in my lifetime. I was thinking about it. Yesterday. I was very blessed with Joey Votto, and Joey Votto is, in my opinion, a Hall of Famer. I don't think there's any question in that, especially with this fan base. But Joey Votto didn't do the stuff Elly De La Cruz. Joey Votto didn't bring that excitement, didn't bring the electricity, and that's not a knock on Joey Votto. Joey Votto is a Hall of Fame baseball player. But when you have somebody that can kind of shift the culture of an organization like Elly De La Cruz is doing, it's something that you should probably take notice of. And I was saying this yesterday. I was thinking to myself after about the 4th stolen base he had, do I really get to watch this guy every night? And it's a yes. I get to take my time. I get to watch the Reds. And yeah, I'm frustrated. Make no mistake. I'm disappointed with how this season has gone. And I'm hoping this isn't a Mike Trout Angels situation where we get to watch a generational talent waste away in a terrible organization. But take a step back and realize how cool this is. If you're a parent, go show your kids Elly De La Cruz, because in their lifetime, they're probably not going to see a cooler athlete in their city. A cooler baseball player. Let's do that so I don't get the Joe Burrow people on me. I don't think you will. In my lifetime, certainly there hasn't been a player like this. I'll never probably get to experience this again. And I wanted to take a moment to recognize that. Elly De La Cruz is the Cincinnati Reds. Without Elly De La Cruz, I'm going to be honest with you, this team not only isn't a playoff team, it's not a competitive team, it's probably one of the worst teams in baseball, offensively, without Elly De La Cruz.
Certainly.
So I just think the things he can do on the base path, the things he can do he went 4 for 4. Now, I'd argue the 4th hit might have been a little bit generosity out of the scorekeeper. But it was so cool to watch him last night. He was in his element. He was in the city of stars, and he was lighting up that city, Casey.
Yeah, I mean, let me just kind of say this about Elly De La Cruz. I hope and pray that he gets an opportunity to do what he just did in a playoff game, where he just completely takes over and wins you a game. I mean, he basically single-handedly destroyed the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not we can get there is a whole other separate conversation. But Elly De La Cruz is something special. One other thing before we move on from Elly De La Cruz.
Yeah.
He said something in the post game.
Yeah.
He said, I like playing here. I feel comfortable because this is my city. No, Cincinnati is your city.
Cincinnati's your city. Mark had a very funny tweet. If you don't know Mark, he's on Twitter, Mark Fetters. He had a funny tweet. Elly's going to ball out in front of his future team tonight. And listen, he did. He balled out. So let's go over that real quick. This is the headline segment, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the Reds' box score. If you missed it, it was a 10-10 first pitch last night, so I imagine there's quite a few of you who didn't get to watch this whole game, but I'm going to read it anyway. The Cincinnati Reds, they win 7-2 over the Los Angeles Dodgers. And again, I don't really know where to start with this, so I'm just going to go around. We lose Nick Lodolo, which presumably means Nick Martinez is starting this game. But alas, we go with the opener. We go with Brent Suter. And Suter opened the game. His job, they reported his job was to face those first 3 batters. That's it. You're facing those 3 batters. Get them out, don't get them out, but that's your job. He got 2 outs. He didn't get all 3 outs, but he got 2 outs. He was set to face Shohei and Freddie Freeman. That was his only job. And then Emilio Pagan subbed in. And it was just a bullpen day after that. Wilson came in. He recorded 1 massive out, Justin Wilson. Nick Martinez then came in, the guy we thought would come in. He went 5 innings of 1-hit baseball after that. He struck out 4 and was absolutely dominant. Shout out to Nick Martinez. If this is what we get with Nick Martinez, we do have to burn a lot of our bullpen arms, Casey. But if he's more comfortable coming in the 3rd inning or 2nd inning, whatever it is, I love it. Go 5 innings after you get in the 3rd. I'd absolutely love it. So shout out to Nick Martinez. It was absolutely incredible. Lucas Sims, Sam Moll, Buck Farmer finished out the rest of the game.
Is this the first time we've seen that this year?
It's the first time we've seen an opener. Yes.
Yeah. It worked out fantastically. I wonder if we will continue to see that moving forward.
Yeah. The only issue with the opener thing is it usually means it's a bullpen day, and if you kill your bullpen, it doesn't put you in a great position to win the next night or the night after that.
But saying that, we have had some good performances from the starters to help them do that, right? Like we've had some 7-inning ball games here as of late.
As of late, yes. That's a fair point. There hasn't been a ton of work lately. But the two Dodgers runs were attributed to Sam Moll. The 0.00 ERA is no more. He has now a 3 ERA. Let's go to the other side of the baseball. It's been a brutal offensive start to this season, but last night the boys came to play against one of the league's best pitchers. Shout out to Glass. Now, I love seeing a pitcher get rattled. I absolutely love it, and he was rattled in his head all night long. He didn't pitch terrible. He really didn't. The Reds were kind of scoring on some silly plays, a strikeout RBI being one of them. an error being one of them. So there was a couple silly things that happened to Tyler Glasnow. But saying that, when they had to check his hand to make sure he wasn't cheating, seeing this lineup, who has been absolutely woeful, tear him up, was very, very fun to see. Tyler Glasnow. Offensively, though, Benson, he led the game off with a home run. Stevenson went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a double. I'll talk about Stevenson here in a bit. Fairchild hit an RBI double. That's everybody's guy, Stuart Fairchild. Connor Capel, he came in and added a hit, as well as Mike Ford, and the hottest guy on the Reds offense, Jamir Candelario, he added a double as well. The story of this game, and I mentioned it off the top, was a man by the name of Elly De La Cruz. He went 4 for 4 with a double, an RBI. The double was a ground rule double. It would have been a triple had the ball stayed in the yard.
Yeah.
It left the yard, so now he's at second. No problem for Elly De La Cruz because you just take third in the pitch that follows. So that's just what you get with Elly De La Cruz. He was trying to get the 5th stolen base. It was the first time a Reds player had 4 stolen bases since 2016 Billy Hamilton. 2016 Billy Hamilton, that was the last guy to do this. He tried for the 5th, was thrown out, and it wasn't close. I thought they were gonna review it. They did not review it, and that's okay. But Elly De La Cruz, I mean, you just shake your head and you say, "Thank God he's here."
I got something for you, Elliot.
Yeah, you do.
Grand Theft Auto 44, Elly De La Cruz.
Yeah, that's right.
He's
Look at
stealing
that.
all those bases.
Look at that case. Was that original?
No, that's from the Reds Twitter account.
Oh,
Isn't that awesome?
that is good. That is good. This is our guy. You get to watch Elly De La Cruz play baseball every night, and not many cities get to say that, so shout out to us. Again, the Reds and the Dodgers are back at it tonight. Frankie Montas takes on 5-0, 2.25 ERA, James Paxton. That first pitch again. We're pitching him late, 10-10 tonight in the City of Angels. But again, this was the first – how about this stat, Casey? This was the first 5-run game that the Dodgers allowed in 24 games. 24 games.
Wow.
First time they allowed a team to score over 5, and it's to the world's worst offense. You got to watch some of it, right?
Yeah, I watched a good part of it. I think I started tuning in the top of the second, so I got to watch a majority of our offense operate. I got to watch a majority of Elly stealing bases and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I forgot what your question was.
well, it was just, did you watch the game? And I think, like, last night I was sitting at home. My dad was watching some terrible movie, so I had to go upstairs and watch the game. I like to watch my games downstairs in the family room, but my dad was watching some musical called Hair. You ever heard of Hair before?
Hair, no,
It's probably the worst piece of singing musical movie. It's the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life. My dad decided to watch that instead of the Reds game last night, so shout out to my father. But man, I'll tell you what, that game last night, and maybe this series can start it. Maybe the Reds are back. Maybe. I'm not going to say they are back because it's silly to think that, but if they win this series, I'm going to start saying they're back.
I mean, didn't they somewhat start it against the Dodgers last year too?
That's exactly right. They started that streak against the Dodgers, the 12-game winning streak. Shout out to that. But we mentioned the 12-game winning streak every show this week. If we start it right now, if the Reds win 12 in a row, I will tattoo Reds World Series 2024 on my bicep. That's a fact. If they win 12 in a row, starting right now. Not later in the season. You can't hold me that later in the season. I'm talking right now. If they win 12 in a row, I'll tattoo it on my chest.
Now they do play James Paxton,
James Paxton's been good.
Who's 2.58 ERA there.
Yeah, he hasn't lost the game.
And has not lost the game. That's going to be – and he's a lefty, right?
That's right.
That's tough.
That is tough. Here's what we're going to do, Casey. We're going to take a break for the radio, and then when we come back, we're going to go through some more headlines. We're going to talk about Scottie Scheffler. We're going to talk about some more red legs. We're going to do some buy or sell NFL edition. We got a good show for you. Hang on tight. This is ESPN 1410 Wing AM. We will be right back with you. And we are back. Welcome on into Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers, the greatest farmers in all the land. Casey, I was thinking of ideas for this show, and before I was going to do anything this morning, I was on my phone. I'm like, we got to talk about something fun. What are we going to talk about? Is there anything notable that happened in the golf tournament? And at this point, I hadn't woken up yet. I was in my bed. I'm like, can I mention anything? Can we mention one of the best opening rounds ever by Xander Schauffele? Can we talk about Rory McIlroy dodging divorce questions in his post game? What can I talk about this golf? So I'm like, all right, let's go on Twitter and let's find out what the people are talking about. And by God, this is the craziest story I've ever seen. We're gonna get there in a minute. We'll probably get there after the interview with Reds Daily. But it's probably a top 5 craziest sports story in my entire life. I sent it to you, and you're not a golf guy. And Casey's like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, it's wild.
And I'll just give you a little tease. Scottie Scheffler was wrongfully and maybe rightfully. I still don't fully understand what was happening. He was detained by the police department of Louisville heading into Valhalla this morning. And it was because there was an accident, and he didn't see that the police officer was there. I think the police officer wasn't wearing traditional police officer garb. It was a yellow trench coat. And he's like, who's telling me to stop here? Is this a crossing guard, traffic guard? I don't know what's going on. He tried to go through, and he was pulled out of his car and arrested. We'll talk about that in a bit. Because I want to run through these headlines real quick. Around the league. The Astros, they destroyed the Athletics 8-1 to finish off a 4-game sweep of the now formerly Oakland A's. The Chicago Cubs lost 5-4 to the Pirates last night. Shout out to Reed. The Cubs suck. The Rays, they beat the Red Sox, KC, 7-5. 7-5. The Mets beat the Phillies in 11 innings by a score of 6-5, and the Yankees shut out the Twins again, winning 5-0. This game, the NBA playoff game that was last night. Do you watch any of this? Probably not because you were at graduation.
Well, I do know that the Nuggets just got absolutely killed, right?
Yeah, this is crazy to me. I don't know how games like this happen in the playoffs, where it's an elimination game.
Yeah, like they
it's
just
the semifinals of the Western Conference. And by the way, the series is now split 3 games apiece. A 45-point victory by Minnesota.
Well, the margin was actually like in the 50s, 60s, was it not?
It was in the 50s at one point, I think.
Yeah, that's nuts. Like I don't understand. Like you have a chance to win the whole thing. Like just get out of there. But they just kind of like gave up, gave it a rest day. I guess maybe they're gonna go all in for whenever they play again, whenever that is.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I guess.
It was. I believe they play Sunday. Game 7 will be on Sunday. So the series is split 3 games apiece. 45-point victory by the Minnesota Timberwolves last night. It's the second highest margin of victory of all time for a team facing elimination.
Is this in Denver? The next game 7?
Yes, the next game will be in Denver, yes. Okay. I think so. I might be wrong. Casey, you might have to double-check that. Jokic didn't have a terrible game. He scored 22 points, but obviously it's not enough when nobody helps you out whatsoever. Shout out to Murray. Jamal Murray was 4 for 18 from the field. 4 for 18 from the field. The bench for the Nuggets, they compiled 9 points. 9 points the bench scored in a 45-point loss. Tough. Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert, they combined for 27 rebounds, while Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels, they combined for 48 points. Game 7 will take place on Sunday. I presume it'll be in Denver. Yeah. Okay, just making sure. NHL, the Rangers, they win the series over the Hurricanes 4-2 after winning last night 5-3. Chris Kreider, he scored 3 goals, 3 straight goals in the third period to give the Rangers a ride to the Eastern Conference Finals. The Canucks, they lead the series over the Oilers 3-2 after a 3-2 win last night. JT Miller hitting the game winner. I was watching this a little bit, and I will say, like Trace, I think was a little bit right and a little bit wrong when it comes to the Caitlin Clark stuff.
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark, I don't think people are going to be watching every game this season, but I was home last night, and I'm like, let's just see what Caitlin Clark is doing. So you flip over to the channel, and you're watching a little bit of it. It's the home opener in Indiana. I will say, and I think Casey mentioned it, there's a reason that team was drafted first.
Yeah, they're not good.
That team is horrible. Horrible. They also lost by nearly 40 points. I think it was 36 points they lost by to the Liberty last night.
For a WNBA game, that's really bad.
36 points. It was the home opener for Caitlin, as I mentioned. She only had 9 points in 30 minutes of action.
She turned it over a lot? I'm assuming she did.
Yeah, she did. We're going to get to our interview here in a couple minutes, but before we get there, I wanted to mention a PGA story before we get to Scottie. I was looking around watching our guy, John Daly. Case, you know who John Daly is?
No. You want to freshen me up?
Yeah,
Enlighten me?
John Daly is this beautiful man, and he's just like the average golfer. He's somehow a professional golfer, but he looks like an average golfer. He's the only guy on the tour who gets his own golf cart, which I found out, by the way. You can have a golf cart. You can get the exemption to have a golf cart on these courses, but the bag can't be in the cart. You got to have your caddy walk the course next to your golf cart as you drive it. I've got some stats for him. He shot 11 over yesterday. He shot 11 over par. But here's some stats for you, Casey. He had 4 Snickers, 2 packs of cigarettes, and 2 bottles of Coke in his round of golf at Valhalla at the PGA Championship yesterday. This was reported by somebody that I believe was closely watching his round. Very, very funny. And I did send you this, Casey. I sent you a mugshot picture. Scottie Scheffler was arrested this morning, and now he joins the likes of 2 great golfers with hilarious mugshots.
There's Scottie.
Scottie. There's Tiger.
Tiger.
And there's John Daly. Look at all 3. It's the big. You talk about the big 3, Casey. That's the big 3 of golf right there. So that's absolutely incredible. And again, I cannot wait to talk about this Scottie Scheffler thing. I don't want to do it right before interview because I think is he there yet?
He's here.
He is here. Okay. So what we're gonna do now? I'm gonna take a break, and this is gonna I think a 7-minute segment. So I'm gonna think out loud here. 7-minute segment. I'm gonna go long in this interview a little bit with our good friend Reds Daly, and we'll be right back. We're coming back from the radio. We'll be back in a second. ESPN 1410 Wing AM. And welcome on back. This is Chatterbox Sports. This is Off the Bench. I am Elliot Rearing. That is Casey McAllister. I am at eTrain513, ETRAIN513 on Twitter. Casey, what's your Twitter?
At Cbox Casey.
How about that? At Cbox Casey. We're bringing in Casey, probably the king of Twitter. I think this guy is a professional social media guru. He grew our Twitter substantially. He grew our TikTok substantially. This is a professional in the game, and I don't know if I'm even allowed to say his last name, so I'm just going to call him, welcome on in, Reds Daily Greg. Greg, how we doing, buddy?
Doing great, Elliot. Happy to be here. I don't know about all those words you just said about.
Oh, those are great words.
True, but
you didn't like those words?
I mean, it's very kind of you. Very kind of you.
Yeah, I went on a big trip, Casey, with Greg. Greg was. He was in the caboose of our Chatterbox van, and he was a good soldier back there. He kept the morale up when things were going bad towards the end. There was an incident, I don't know if you remember, Casey, that happened towards the end of that trip. Yeah, kind of ruined the trip. Greg was the guy that kept us in line. He kept my wits about me. Greg, what are your thoughts initially? And what a horrible transition by me. What are your thoughts initially after last night's win for the Cincinnati Redlegs?
Man, I'm fired up. You
sound fired up. That was the most fired. Here's Casey. Ask me the question I just asked him. Really.
Hey, Elliot, how do you feel about the Reds win last night?
Yeah, fired up. I mean, that's the reaction I just got from our guy Greg. So I'm going to ask you again, Greg, and let's see if you put a little different cadence in your voice. Greg, what are your thoughts on last night's Reds victory?
I was doing my Bill Belichick, I was doing the Bill Belichick. I was like mumbling through doing my David Bell.
Yeah.
We're happy to be here. The guys are playing great. But no, in all seriousness, I mean, it's pretty incredible that Elly De La Cruz is Cincinnati Red. I mean, you just watch a game like last night, and that guy's never been on our team. Like you were always watching him from the other team, and I mean, that's baseball too. Like the Reds have lost 14 of 17 games going into last night, and then they're playing a team that has the best roster in Major League Baseball, and they win in dominant fashion. I mean, it was never really a question if they were going to win once they were up 4-0, which we haven't felt like that all year. So baseball's a crazy sport, man. I know it's been a tough times for us Reds fans lately, but last night was encouraging. Maybe we can build on that. I think if we split the series against the Dodgers, I'll be happy. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. You guys, listen, Trace wanted like a 4 games under 500 record during this stretch.
Kirby was like, we can go 10 games under 500. You're saying let's split the series after a massive win last night. Come on, we can win this series. We can beat the Dodgers. I think we've owned them the past 2 years. We can win this series. You mentioned Elly De La Cruz, and I'll ask you a little bit about Elly De La Cruz, because we talk a lot about expectations when it comes to this fan base. No expectations were higher on a player, maybe ever in my lifetime, than Elly De La Cruz. Having him exceed those expectations this early in the season, and I have a couple stats. There was, Casey, do we have that graphic? I could be wrong. That graphic with Elly De La Cruz's prediction numbers. Yeah, let's put this up there. So this was a prediction coming into the season. 30 stolen bases, 21 home runs, 5 triples, blah, 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 blah. That was the prediction coming in. He has hit 30 stolen bases, Greg. 30 stolen bases, and it's May 17th. He did it on May 16th. No player has done that. Ronald Acuna led the league with 70. He didn't get 30 until the middle of June last season. This is what you're getting with Elly De La Cruz. How fun is it for you? And maybe, I could be wrong in this. You're not too much older than me. Has there been another player anywhere close to the excitement, to the electricity of Elly De La Cruz in your lifetime?
I don't think so for me. I mean, I remember watching Billy Hamilton in the minors. He'd steal like 100 bases, and you're like, that guy's going to be electric. And then we found out he couldn't hit to get on base. So things went poorly quickly with Billy Hamilton. But Elly De La Cruz he's electric. He's just absolutely electric. That graphic that MLB put up beginning of the year, I mean, that might go down as the worst graphic of all time. I mean, 30 stolen bases. He's got 30 stolen bases a month and a half into the season. That should be I should get that in a frame and just put it right behind me and just put MLB old takes exposed, because that's just, I don't know where they got that prediction. He had 30 stolen bases almost last year, I think, in like half the season. So, but yeah, he's just electric. I mean, he's absolutely electric. He's so much fun to watch. Every time he gets up to the plate, you're pumped to watch him, whether the Reds are getting killed, whether they're winning. He's just so much fun to watch. And no, I don't think there's another Reds player in my lifetime that I've enjoyed watching more than Elly.
Going back to that expectation thought, because I think a lot of these Reds, a lot of the rookies, the young guys, they had expectations that maybe were too high for them to touch. Maybe they were too high for the fan base to put on them. We look at a guy like Will Benson, a guy I thought coming into the season, again, I expected him to be an elite player for the Cincinnati Reds. Maybe I shouldn't have thought that. Maybe that was too high of a bar to meet. But do you think up until this point, and I know he hit a home run last night, and he got a hit against the Diamondbacks the night before. I know all of that, but saying that, is there a chance Will Benson becomes an everyday outfielder? Because it seems to me, against lefties, he's just so bad right now that you can't even consider it for him.
Yeah, I guess there's a chance, but he's been pretty bad against left-handed pitching, and he's been above average against right-handed. The batting average isn't great against right-handed pitching, but his other advanced stats are all above average against right-handed pitching. I guess there's a chance he could play, but I don't see it. I mean, it's funny because he wanted all offseason. He's saying, I want to face left-handed pitching. I want to face left-handed pitching. Well, you got to face left-handed pitching, and boy, did it go poorly. So
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how many times they're going to keep rolling him out there. If the injuries keep happening like they do, maybe he keeps getting some chances, but I don't see it. I mean, I think he's kind of a platoon player. And I almost think too, when he was struggling as a whole, I think he was struggling against righties because of he's a player who plays with a ton of confidence. And when he was struggling against lefties, I think that carried over against righties a little bit. So I don't see it, but maybe there's always a chance. There's always a chance, but I don't see it big picture.
I don't think I see it either. As of right now, obviously our opinions can change as the season goes on, but we'll see. Starting pitching, jumping over to the pitching side of things. Last night, obviously, a crazy game when it comes to pitching. You start with an opener. You use, 6, 7 different pitchers, and you get through it. But we lose Nick Lodolo. You lose Nick Lodolo, a guy that's been up until I think his most recent start, he's had an incredible season. You have Hunter Green, you have Frankie Montas. He missed a little bit of a time after a comebacker. You have Andrew Abbott pitching 7 scoreless innings. You have Graham Ashcraft, who's been solid this season. The starting pitching's been incredible. They've carried the load. Is there a chance the starting pitching is this good? We talk about expectations. We expected this starting pitching to get better and better after last season. It's gotten better. It's gotten a lot better. And my whole thing is if they can stay healthy, I think they are this good. But in your opinion, is water going to find its level with this starting pitching at some point this season? Are they going to struggle? Or is this starting rotation actually as good as it is?
I think they're pretty good. I think the thing with this rotation is there's no surefire ace right now. Even with Lodolo, I don't know if you could say he was a surefire ace. Hunter Green's been pretty good this year. He's just getting better and better. But they're just all pretty good. They're all pretty good pitchers. Even who's the worst pitcher in the rotation right now? Not counting Nick Martinez, but Graham Ashcraft, and even he's going to go out there and give you innings and keep you in the game. He might give up 3 runs in 5 innings, but you can still be in ball games that way. But I am a little bit worried that when the offense has been doing this bad, that the offense will come alive and all of a sudden the pitching will struggle just because, I don't know. I guess that's what I think how us Reds fans think, But I think they do have a pretty good rotation. I think overall for the year, I think they'll be pretty good. But at some point, I do worry about the offense coming together and the pitching starting to struggle.
Do you think we'll see Brandon Williamson this season?
I do. I think we'll see him. I almost would wonder if they would put him in some kind of bullpen role.
That's what I thought
Nick
too.
Martinez, and throw like 3 or 4 innings out of the bullpen, because I'll say, like, watching Brent Suter and Nick Martinez do what they do out of the bullpen, like that's a weapon out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
To be able to bring somebody in and pitch 2 to 3 innings and save the rest of the guys. I mean, we saw what happened at the end of last year when we had Buck Farmer throwing 72 games and your boy Ian Jabot throwing 72 games. Like,
it's our guy.
Things went poorly. So, I think it's a weapon. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Brandon Williamson in some capacity. I don't know if they're serious about him in the bullpen or if they'd want to do like a 6-man rotation or what, but I do think we'll see him at some point.
Moving on to the bullpen a little bit, you just touched on it. I talked with Nick Kirby about the possibility of moving Fernando Cruz to that closer role. He pitches in the high leverage innings anyway. I think Nick Kirby said he has 13 high leverage innings pitched. That's almost double what Alexis Diaz, what Lucas Sims, the next 2 have. Is there a chance in your mind that Fernando Cruz, towards the end of the season, we're going to be hearing the Lion King theme song instead of Alexis Diaz's theme song as the lights flicker across in Bob Castellini's Wonderland? Is that a possibility for you, or are we riding with Alexis Diaz till the end?
I think it's a possibility. It's frustrating what's going on with Diaz. We want to see the Diaz of 2 years ago. The last year and a half's kind of been a little bit frustrating, but I know this is a very serious talk show, and I came prepared.
Very serious
for you, Elliot.
Very serious.
So here's some stats for you regarding Fernando Cruz. It's pretty interesting. Which, if you're talking about him as a closer, these would concern you a little bit. So here we go. In 9 games and 8 2/3 innings, which he's inherited another reliever's runners, he's allowed 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 18 strikeouts. All right, so he gets you out of innings that, there's multiple guys on base and he comes in. He's going to get you out of that because he can strike out everybody. In the 10 games and 9 1/3 innings in which he started out with a fresh inning, he's allowed 8 earned runs, 10 walks, and 16 strikeouts.
Really?
So I think that's a little alarming. I mean, I don't know if that's just a coincidence. I don't know if it's confidence. I mean, 3 of the last 4 times I think he's come in, he's gotten 2 outs right away, and then it kind of just the inning gets away from him. I think Fernando Cruz is really good. That splitter is like one of the best pitches in baseball, but those stats are a little alarming if you're going to bring that guy in with nobody on in the 9th, and he seems to really struggle right now in that area. So I don't know. And the other thing is, like, if it's not Fernando Cruz and it's not Alexis Diaz, I don't know who else you're putting in that role. I know people are calling for Sam Mold possibly, but the Reds sent him down. I know it's because he had options, but they also mentioned his velocity was down, and I think there's probably some underlying things going on there that I'm not sure they're going to just stick him in the closer role. Pagan struggled, Sims has struggled, so I think they're going to stick it out with Diaz. He might be on somewhat of a short leash, but we'll see.
Based on what you just said, what if we do an opener for the last inning? Alexis Diaz comes in, he walks the first guy, and then Fernando Cruz comes in. He'll probably walk a batter too, but then we'll get maybe a triple play. He'll get a triple play, and that's how we'll manage these ninth inning situations. Because by the way,
that's big brain thinking by you. That's big brain thinking by you.
That is big brain thinking because they're both terrible when it comes to the walks, and I can't. If I'm going to be honest with you, nothing frustrates me more than when this bullpen walks the leadoff guy, and I feel like that happens a decent amount. And both of those two, unfortunately, they both do it. Alexis Diaz, I don't know if this is accurate, Greg, but I feel like Alexis Diaz has allowed the opening base runner. Like, I don't know how many games he's played in like half of his games, and it just gets frustrating.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, they just, it's pretty infuriating to come into the ninth inning with a lead and then just put people on base without having to hit the ball. I mean, the loss the other day, he just hit a guy and then walked two guys, and then Kevin Newman hit a doinker that, won the game. So, like, it's infuriating to you're just giving the team a win at that point. You made one guy make contact and you gave up 2 runs.
And by the way, Craig just corrected me in the chat. Craig and Nick Kirby, they love to correct me whenever I'm wrong. And by the way, they're very quiet for like a majority of the show. But if I say one thing wrong, they're going to come in and they're going to yell at me. So here it is. I said that my plan would be to have Fernando Cruz sub out Alexis Diaz after he walks the opening batter. There is the 3-batter rule, Greg. So apparently he cannot do that until Alexis Diaz loads the bases. Then you pull him.
That's fair.
Sorry to Craig, who told me the Reds would lose to the Angels. All right, so moving on, the realistic expectations. We talk a lot about expectations when it comes to this team. Is there a chance? Do you even think about? Is there even hope for a postseason berth with this current iteration of the Cincinnati Reds?
I think there's hope. I was reading the chat a little earlier when I first came on, which was probably a mistake. I'm new to all this, and Alex Wallace, I think, said, "Is this David Bell speaking?" when I was speaking, which was pretty hilarious. That's pretty funny. So I'm going to give another David Bell answer right here. I'm going to give a politically correct answer. I think before we start talking playoffs, we just got to get back to 500. We got to take baby steps. We got to take baby steps. Like, I think there's hope. I do think there's hope. I mean, it's May 17th. I threw out a stat that the old Twitter app, people were fired up at me because I said in 2022 the Phillies were 22-29 on June 1st, and they made the World Series. And people were not happy with that. People were not happy that I threw some positive light on this team. So I think there's a chance. But you just got to take baby steps. You got to keep win series, and get back there because it's a long season. But there is a chance. The chances don't look great right now, but it's baseball. The crazy things happen. I mean, we just watched the bullpen look like, Randy Johnson and Tom Glavine and Greg Maddux last night. So against the best team in baseball. So you never know what can happen. I still have hope, though. I still got hope.
It's crazy because I said yesterday, like, I'm just done with it. I'm done with the team because this isn't the team that we thought was going to be the Cincinnati Reds 2024 Raw. It's just not that team. It's a different team. When you have Santiago Espinal, Mike Ford batting cleanup, when you have Luke Maile hitting $130, you're looking around. We got Connor Capel and Jacob Hurtubise in here, and I mean no disrespect, but this isn't a major league team when all those guys are playing. It's just not. It's not a good team. I think if everybody comes back, if we get some help, if the starting pitching can pitch like this, then I start looking at playoffs. Then I can believe. Because maybe they go on a run. Maybe we 4-game sweep the Los Angeles Dodgers, and I'll be all the way back. But I do think, as of right now, I think your method, your logic is right. Let's just try to get back to 500, and then we'll worry about it then. Let me ask you this. I know you try to be positive. Give me your most disappointing Red this season. If you had to give me your most disappointing Red for the first, quarter of this season, who would it be?
Yeah, I'm going to preface this with I'm hoping it was due to his injury. Yeah. Because he's on the IL now, but I'm going to go with CS. I had huge expectations for him. I know guys go through sophomore slumps. He was hitting like $190 when he went on the IL. He had only 2 home runs. So I'm really hoping the injury had a lot to do with why he was struggling, and he was maybe hurting more than he led on to be. But he's got to be the most disappointing in my eyes, just because we thought he was going to be the middle of the order bat that would hit 30 home runs at GABP. Yeah. And he was not producing at all, really, at the start of the year. So he's my most disappointing. But like I said, I really hope it was due to the injury and he comes back and we see the CS that we thought we would see. Now, there are a couple things that he just needs to be better at. I mean, he just refuses to walk. He's up there like with me on MLB The Show and just swings at every pitch. It's crazy. It's crazy. So I don't think that can contribute to long-term success in Major League Baseball. But I don't know. I think he just has to take steps in the right direction. And like I said, hopefully the injury had a lot to do with why he was struggling so much.
Yeah, I hope that's the case too. But he was one of the league's worst players when he was up this season, and that's unfortunate to say. But CES, again, that's a guy I was told 40 home runs, 35 home runs. This is your power bat in the lineup. And you just didn't get to see it this year so far. And maybe he will towards the end of the year if he's able to play. I did think the whole injury situation with how this organization dealt with it, I think that's strange. I think there might have been some organizational malpractice involved in whatever the hell was going on with CES. But despite that, I would agree with you on that regard. If you had to give me the most a guy who has surpassed your expectations coming into the season, a guy who has exceeded what you thought he could be, you can't say Elly De La Cruz. Who would it be?
Yeah, this one's easy for me, and I actually like that you told me I couldn't say Elly because that's the easy answer, right?
That's a very easy answer.
I'm going with Tyler Stevenson. I mean, people were ready to run him out of town last year, and they were ready to give Luke Maile the starting spot, which is just crazy in its own. We've seen Luke Maile come back to life this year, and now maybe we need a new backup catcher. But Tyler Stevenson's been incredible. I mean, he went from being like a slap hitter. You know, he'd always be hitting the ball opposite field, and this year he's pulling the ball more than he's ever had. He's literally barreling up baseballs almost more than anybody in baseball. He's on like the 97th percentile. Yeah. His hard hit percentage is first on the team over Elly. Like, it's crazy. Like, I've been petitioning on Twitter lately. When Luke Maile's starting at catcher, we need to still put Tyler Stevenson in the lineup. Like, you can't have somebody with the offense the way it is. You can't have someone who's top three in basically every offensive category on the team just sit every third day. Like, that's crazy. Like, somehow you just DH him. I know people are like, well, if Maile gets hurt, well then you're stuck without a catcher. But like, it's one game. Like, I'm not worried if we have to put Santiago Espinal at catcher for 3 innings in a baseball game. I would rather be like, let's give our chance to win. And if that terrible luck happens, like, okay, cool, we lost one game because we used Tyler Stevenson at the DH and Santiago Espinal had to catch, or whoever they'd stick back there. But he's been so good offensively. They need to consistently put his bat in the lineup, and it's pretty awesome to say that. And he's also gotten way better defensively, which I know people were very low on him last year because he struggled defensively. So I think Tyler Stevenson's the easy answer there, and it's pretty awesome to see what he's done, because I think when he first came up, this is what everyone thought he could be.
And that's what I thought, and that's why I was down on him last year, and I did say Luke Maile probably could be the starter by the end of the year. I take it back. I'm a reactionary guy. I take it back. I think I also said Elly should be benched a couple games for those errors. Whoopsie.
I have texts from you.
No, you can't.
I have texts from you.
Listen, those are I think there's a couple people that have texts where I think Evan, our good friend Evan Maurer, has some texts on me about that. Nobody's allowed to share those texts. Those are confidential texts. Moving on, I have 2 more questions for you. Injuries have taken this team to new lows this season. It seems like we are cursed. At least that's what I think. Is there anybody in the minors that, and again, follow Reds Daily on Twitter if you're listening on the radio, if you're listening in your car, wherever you're at. Reds Daily on Twitter. He's got all the minor league stuff. He's posting highlights. He's posting stats. Very good Twitter account. Is there anybody in the minors that could be on a fast track to AAA that us regular fans don't know about and that we can get excited about to maybe be a Red in a year or two?
Yeah, so this was a tough question. Rhett Lauder is the obvious answer. He's on a fast track, but he's one everybody knows about. The Double-A team, Chattanooga, their roster is pretty bad, to be honest. They have a bunch of guys that used to be top 30 guys, and they just fell out of the top 30 because they haven't been good. Like Austin Hendrick, Tyler Callahan's been better as of late. So I actually gave somebody from the Dragons, high A. That's exciting. He's had an awesome year. Jay Allen II. So Jay Allen II was drafted 30th overall in 2021 by the Reds, and he's had so many injuries since he's been drafted. He dropped all the way down to 25th, I think, on MLB Pipeline for the Reds prospects. Yeah. But this year he's just been unbelievable. He has 7 home runs, 7 stolen bases. His OPS is like 1.064, hitting 322. I think sooner than later, this is his third year in high A because he's just dealt with so many injuries and hasn't been able to play much. I think he'll be up to double A soon. I'm not sure if he can make it up to triple A by the end of the year, so maybe not the exact answer you're looking for someone for triple A. But the weird thing about the Reds minor league system right now is a lot of their talent is in low and high A. They had, CES, Matt McClain, Elly all come up last year through triple A. There's just not a ton of big-time talent in double A right now, so it's kind of the younger guys in high A and low A that I think I'm most excited about. And I mean, the Dragons, their offense is pretty electric to watch. They have a ton of top end talent there. Those are the guys I'm most excited about to see get to that AAA level. Hopefully, end of the year or early next year.
That's good stuff. Good stuff. And you can see more of Jay Allen. Go to Reds Daily on Twitter. All right, I have 2 joke questions. Bally Sports Parlay, they lose again last night?
They sure did. They lost, and the only thing the Valley Sports Parlay needed to happen, it's moved to 1-39 on the season. 1-39, which is just incredible. I mean, speaking of jail, Scottie Scheffler shouldn't be put in jail. The Valley Sports people should be put in jail. But 1-39, and the best thing is the only thing that needed to happen last night for it to actually win was Mookie Betts to get a hit. He's like the best hitter in Major League Baseball this year.
Yeah.
So he didn't get hit. Talk about cursed. This Reds team might not be cursed. The Valley Sports Parlay is definitely cursed. That thing is the worst thing in sports history.
Scottie Scheffler, you putting the mortgage on Scottie Scheffler to win this tournament after his arrest?
Yeah, I mean, I would. I would, but I think a lot of the books took him down this morning. They didn't know if he was going to play, and everybody would have hammered that.
I would have. I'm gonna look for it probably during the middle of this show, and I'm gonna see if I can bet on it because that's absolutely hilarious. Maybe Daily.
The Valley Sports Parlay should put Scottie Scheffler to win in the bet tonight.
I would love a 3-leg parlay with Scottie Scheffler like plus 900 odds. Throw a couple of home run guys in there, it'll be plus 2 million, and it'll just never have a chance. But listen, thank you, Reds Daily Greg. Follow him on Twitter, Reds Daily. You know him, you love him, you see him. I look forward to seeing what the Reds Valley Sports Parlay is tonight. You can check that update on his Twitter. Thank you very much, Greg. Appreciate having you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I'll share one quick story for you for like 15 seconds real quick. That's pretty funny. I followed John Daly at a senior event down here in Atlanta my first year here.
Yeah.
I just walked around, followed him for the whole 18 holes. He was in a cart. He had 4 Diet Coke or 4, I don't remember if they were Diet Cokes or Cokes in his cart in all the 4 little compartments. And then he had 4 more in the back of his compartments in his cart. And this was in an actual tournament. So I can confirm what you said earlier on the show about John Daly. That guy is a legend.
All-time golfer. The clip of him, or the photo of him shaking hands with Tiger, and you could see Tiger in his sunglasses yesterday. Coolest picture of all time. Reds Daily Greg. Follow him at Reds Daily on Twitter or X, whatever you call it. Thank you, Greg, for coming on, buddy.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
See ya. That's it. Listen, I went long in that segment, but we've caught up time-wise, Casey. That is called being an expert in time management. Now we're 2 minutes over the time limit. So now we got to go back in time as these next 3 segments unfold. But you'll see those in just a second. We're going to go to break right here on ESPN 1410 Wing AM. Bump, 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 bump. But the bump, 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 bump. Welcome on in, Chatterbox Sports. Off the bench, I am Elliot Rearing. That is Casey McAllister. Casey, any takeaways on your Cincinnati Redlegs that you haven't already said? You might have already said your thoughts.
I mean, I'm gonna temper my expectations. It's one game, right? But damn, does it feel good to beat a Dodgers team 7-2? It just feels amazing. It just brings you all the way back almost, man. If they can somehow be competitive, like they don't even have to win tonight for me to still feel really, really good about this team, because I already know how they fare against left-handed pitching. It's not great. It's not great. But if they somehow stay competitive tonight, they keep it close.
Yeah.
I feel really good about our chances, man. I feel really good.
I feel good about it too. I do. I think Frankie's pitched very well this season. There was a couple games where he didn't look like himself, but other than that, he's been solid. And again, he's not an ace. I might have said that and again, this is just where my takes. If you count how many wrong takes I had about this Reds team coming into this season, I'd probably be at like 400 already. He's not an ace of this team, but he's a damn good, serviceable 3-4 guy in a rotation. He really is. If he can stay healthy, if he can give me 5, maybe 6 innings every start, yeah, this guy is worth the money, and he's going to be crucial down the stretch, 100%. I was watching the game last night, and I had a couple thoughts outside of Elly De La Cruz, and Greg kind of touched on it. Tyler Stevenson was a guy I might be wrong about too, and I'm hoping I am. Because Tyler Stevenson was very bad last year, maybe in part because
100%.
Maybe in part because there was some injury stuff. I don't know what it was, but he wasn't good defensively. He was really, really bad defensively. And then offensively, he's not the power guy we thought he was. This year, he's starting to become that barrel guy, as Greg just said. He's starting to become the catcher we saw when he came up in that opening series. I think it was against the Cubs when he hit a home run in his debut. I think that's the guy we're starting to see back. Because, I was high on Jonathan India. Jonathan India got all the hate last season, and Tyler Stevenson got none of it. And maybe it was my bias this season. We're like, I'm going to be down on Tyler Stevenson. He's going to get that same vitriol that India got for being a bad player. He doesn't deserve that. He's a good catcher. We need him to be a good catcher. And thus far this season, he has impressed me very much.
Yeah, Tyler Stevenson kind of gets, like, looped in with Jonathan India because they were both relatively there at the same time. They're kind of paired together, right? Whether that's fair or not, that's, it's probably not fair, to be honest with you.
It's probably not fair.
But he was not very good last year. And he was terrible at framing pitches. Like, he was just not a very good catcher. He has completely changed his approach. It's almost night and day, in my opinion, from what I've seen, from what I've been paying attention to. And listen, for those listening, I'm a bit of a novice when it comes to baseball.
Very much.
But I can tell the difference that he's had just this year alone. It's night and day. I used to think, like, bloop single, he's only going to get a single. Now I think he can, just knock the cover off the ball, get you a home run. Yeah. He is what people told me what he was supposed to be last year, and that's good to see.
And as I go down the apology train, I'm going to apologize to a guy who, again, I still don't particularly like. I don't think he's an elite baseball player. I don't think anybody's proclaiming he is that. But Stuart Fairchild is serviceable.
He's a platoon guy.
Stuart Fairchild deserves to be a top 26 guy on a starting baseball roster. He does. He deserves that. He deserves to be on a roster. So I'm going to apologize to Stuart Fairchild. He ripped a double last night deep off the center field wall. He hits 300 against lefties.
Yeah.
He hits 300 against lefties. I know I can look at and I can cherry pick and I can say Stuart Fairchild's hitting 200 with a 287 OBP. And to be quite honest, not a whole lot of extra base hits. I think he's got 2 doubles, 2 home runs on the year. Saying all that, he's more than good enough to be on this roster. I'm happy to have Stuart Fairchild here as the 26th man. It just is unfortunate where he has to play every day now because of the injuries to the team.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the problem with a lot of that's the problem with having platoon guys, right?
Yeah.
Is eventually, if you get a bunch of injuries like we do, they're forced to play, and then they're kind of out of their element a little bit when it comes to the wrong pitching day, right?
Yeah.
When he's got to go up against right-handed pitching, but luckily the rest of our team is pretty decent about against right-handed. So I mean, I get what you're saying. I think he does deserve to be on a roster. He's a platoon guy, and I think Kirby was on this very early on last year, and you see it now. So good for him.
That's right. I'm going to continue this apology tour. Every once in a while, I just got to get my apologies out for some of this roster. Jamir Candelario, a guy that I ripped on pretty hard last week.
I've got to jump on this train with you because I thought he was dead in the water too. I thought his career was basically over. I thought it was done.
A 3-year deal with the Reds. His career is done in the first month. I was with you. I thought this was going to be another bust signing. It still could be, technically. It still could be another bust signing.
Jury's still out.
It could be another fat moose situation. But up until now, it's not. The last 7 games, he has 8 hits, 5 RBIs, and a walk. He's hitting 286 with a 310 OBP. 310 OBP is not great. But he's got 8 hits over his last 7 games. That's all I can ask for. In his last 15 games, Jamir Candelario has 19 hits and 57 at-bats. That is a 333 average with a 345 OBP. He's only struck out 8 times. He has 2 home runs and 9 RBIs in that stretch.
Is that the difference? Is just he's been a little bit more disciplined? at the plate?
Yes, yeah, I think so. I think his at-bats have gotten a lot better from early on. And early on, it looked uncomfortable. When I would go to some of those games, and they'd be quick at-bats. He'd be so late on pitches. He'd be a good second and a half late on a fastball down the middle. And that you're not seeing as much anymore from Jeimer Candelario, and that's big. Over his last 30 games, just to give you a different sample size, again, this one's not going to look as good as the last 15 games, but it's gonna be better than what you think he is. 26 hits in his last 30 games. He has 3 home runs, 14 RBIs during that stretch, 8 walks, and a 240 average with a 310 OBP. That's not great, but it's better than the 180 guy we saw.
Yeah. Do you think it's because he's kind of changed the approach of being the home run guy? Like, he was in that 3 spot for the longest time. He was going to try to just knock the cover off the ball, try to get RBIs, and now it's not so much that. It's just that he's
putting the ball in play.
Yeah,
I think that could have something to do with it. I think he was probably looking around this lineup, and he wasn't seeing a whole lot of help, and he maybe was trying to do too much, putting more pressure on himself. I don't know. But he's settled down. He's settled into his role. We need him to be good. Every name I mention from here on out, I need them to be good. Because you can't have Connor Capel, Jacob Hurtubise, Mike Ford. You can't have all these. Again, I'm going to say this respectfully and with a lot of love. You can't have all these scrubs start every single day and expect to win games if Candelario isn't good, if Stevenson doesn't show up, if Jonathan India doesn't have a headache. These are the guys we need to be good. And one more final apology I'm going to give out, and I'm going to give it out to a guy who I've called a scrub, but I'll tell you what right now. I'm going to tell you something right now. I apologize to Santiago Espinal. His stats don't look good. And I'll stand by that. But Randy got on me on Twitter. He's like, you know what? Randy told me, he's not supposed to be what he is right now. He's not supposed to be an everyday player. He's not supposed to start for this team. He's put the ball in play in some big moments for the Reds this season. He has. I will give Santiago Espinal some credit because I don't think he's a great player. He shouldn't be playing every day. He's hitting 190 still, 194. He has a 252 OBP. But he has put the ball in play. He's able to make contact, and that's what I want. This is a heavy strikeout team. Will Benson leads the majors in strikeouts. Elly isn't far behind him. CES was on pace for it. You have a lot of strikeouts coming from this team, a lot of not putting the ball in play when you need to put the ball in play. Santiago Espinal has been able to do that, and for him, I apologize.
Yeah, just looking at the month of May, he is hitting above that line, 212. He's on base, 278. But, that's not what he's supposed to do. He's not supposed to be an everyday player. Last 5 games, he's really been significant, in my opinion. He's hit the ball just about every single game. He's gotten on base every single game in those 5 games. And, I mean, like you said, he's been putting the team in positions to win. Whether or not they win or not, that's a whole other story. We already know what the thing is about one-run games with this team right now this year. But, yeah.
In his last 7 games, as Casey kind of just alluded to there, 6 hits and 21 at-bats. He's got a home run, 2 RBIs, 2 walks, a stolen base, only 3 strikeouts.
It's not bad.
He only has 3 strikeouts. In his last 30 games, he only has 16 strikeouts. He's batting .288 with a 350 OBP in his last 7 games.
Yeah, that's good.
That's very good. In his last 30 games, 88 at-bats, 18 hits, 2 home runs, 14 RBIs, 4 stolen bases. It's a 200 average with a 250 OBP, which isn't good. But saying that, he's been what we needed him to be defensively. He's been able to produce when we need it offensively. One guy, I'm going to say something that I'm going to be a little frustrated with him. And I complimented him early on in the season. I said he's the most consistent guy we have. Spencer Steer has not been good enough.
No.
Spencer Steer has not been good enough, and I don't know if it's just a classic slump or what's going on. Last night, he struck out, and Elly De La Cruz scored on one of those strikeouts. He hasn't been good over the past I'm gonna get the stats up for you in a second, but I need him to be a lot better than he's been. I mean, he's still got a 350 OBP. He's still there. You still see in life. He's still able to get on base every once in a while, but defensively, we know what he is. And what he is not a very good defender. He's a Jonathan India type defender, maybe not as bad.
The month of May, I mean, he's been horrible. He's 191 average. He's on base 296. I guess that's not terrible.
Not bad though, or not good though.
But yeah, I mean, he's not been what we saw early on in the year, where he was just hitting the ball and he was just crushing it. So I don't know where the median is. I hope this is not the median. This is probably the lowest point that we'll see. Hopefully it kind of comes back to more of an average hitter, a 240 hitter.
Yeah.
But, man, I was glad that you said something because this last couple last couple games I've been thinking to myself, like, Steer has been kind of falling off.
He's been off.
No one's really said anything about it. And I know he's not a good defender. Hopefully he figures it out.
Last 7 games for Spencer Steer, he has 6 hits and 26 at-bats with 4 strikeouts. That's a 231 average. He does have 4 walks, which puts that OBP at 355, so a little bit better at getting on base. Over his last 15 games, he has 11 hits and 55 at-bats. That's a 200 average with a 290 OBP, slugging only 327. Steer needs to be better. And as we wind down this segment, coming up on the show, we do have I'm gonna run down the report of what happened with Scottie Scheffler because I think this is one of the craziest stories in sports, Casey.
I agree.
We have a buy or sell segment regarding the NFL. We're gonna maybe talk a little bit about the NFL schedule release videos. We didn't really get to do that yesterday.
A little more fun video or a little fun segment.
Little fun segment. And then outside of that, I think that should be our show. We do have Kinner in studio today. So that'll happen at noon, roughly noon. I think Kev will be with them, maybe not. I'm not entirely sure.
Not a clue.
Not entirely sure what our plan is yet. So we'll see with that going forward. But that's going to be it for this segment. ESPN 1410 Wing AM. We'll be right back at you. All right. Do we want to do some ads real quick?
Yeah, let's do some ads real quick. Encore Technologies, they provide IT solutions for a data center world with a suite of services from mobile computing, desktop to data center, supporting both centralized and work-from-home computing modules to improve efficiency. And
PRODUCTIVITY.
Productivity. Visit Encore.tech. The path to innovation begins here.
Right here.
Right here. And let me tell you about this lovely bottle of water right here. Do you hear that, chat? That's the sound of Pawnee water. Pawnee water, made right here in Hamilton, Ohio, uses natural limestone filtration, unlike the artificial processing the other brands use. The result is a healthy alkaline water, and some say the best tasting water in the world. Visit Pawnee Water at PAHHNIwater.com and see where you can buy this great tasting water. And also, I know you just kind of said some programming notes there. 12 to 2, Kinner and Kev. Drop a like, hit the sub button, hit the notification bell. We greatly appreciate that. I think we were going to... I don't think we have anything else planned after Kinner and Kev, right?
No.
Okay. So, Monday.
We do, by the way, and real quick before I interrupt, the next, for all the members, Quiplash, I know we were going to do Quiplash today. The Kinner and Kev show was brought on us. That's above our head. But the Quiplash 2, we will have Quiplash 2 next week. Yeah. So the next time we play it, we will have the updated game, the updated version. So that should be very fun. Yep.
And listen, it should be Monday is when we are going to be very consistent from here on out. Things will be a lot more in line.
Whoa. My God.
Jeremiah just dropped in here. I guess we're not on the radio at the moment.
Guess.
But that was funny.
That's just outrageous. I mean, we're just doing a show, and the kid walks over and opens the door in front of the camera. But we'll be back. Listen, we'll be back with the regular scheduled content. I had to do Miami yesterday. Casey has to do graduations. We got Miami this weekend. Let us get through this, please, and we will be back. I promise you that.
Yeah, I promise that. We will have boxed lunch or something for the member streams Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 100% next week.
Yeah. So that's it. We're going to do 5 seconds of silence and then come right back. Is that good for you?
That's good for me.
Are you sure it's good? You look like you had something else in your mind.
No, I'm just tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired and sore. Before we go back to the radio, since we have some time to kill.
We have some time.
I've been working out. I worked out Monday and Tuesday, did arms and legs. Wednesday was sore. Thursday, yesterday,
Yeah.
I've never been more sore in my life. And I don't know what I did. I must have slept funny. Just my arms were killing me. I didn't really work out my arms all that heavy, right? An hour. But it was enough. And then just having to pick up all that stuff yesterday, all the heavy stuff afterwards.
What time did you get home?
I got home, I want to say at like 10:25, 10:20, something around there.
Yeah.
Because I got to watch, I came in and started watching the Reds game, and it was like in the top of the second inning. So, and of course, I didn't get to finish the Reds game. I went to bed before all that nonsense, but
Yeah.
they were comfortably winning at that point. So
That's good. That's good. So let's get back to it. I think I got home around. Well, I texted you when I got home, whenever that was. Either way, we're gonna do 5-second silence. Come back to the radio, and then we'll talk about Scottie Scheffler. Welcome back into Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers, Chatterbox Sports. Listen, I saw this story. And it is, I'm gonna make the argument for it. I think it's the craziest story in sports over the past several years. I don't think you'll see another one like this. Scottie Scheffler is the world's #1 golfer. The world's #1 golfer on his way into Valhalla this morning to play in the PGA Championship, a major. We've had guys get arrested before, as we've seen. We've had Tiger get arrested. We've had John Daly get arrested. We know golfers that have been arrested. We have not had one before the second round of a tournament, a major tournament. The #1 golfer gets pulled over for, I'm not going to say nonsense, but it seems a lot like nonsense. So here we go. It was a miss, and this is all per a report via, I believe, who is this, Casey? This is Jeff Darlington. Yes, yeah. Jeff Darlington. So it was a misunderstanding with traffic flow that led to his attempt to drive past a police officer into Valhalla Golf Club. The police officer attempted to attach himself to Scheffler's car, and Scheffler then stopped his vehicle at the entrance to the golf club. He was there. He was at the entrance to the golf club. When he exited his vehicle, the officer screamed at Scottie to get out of the car. When Scottie obliged, he got out of the car. When he exited the vehicle, the officer shoved Scheffler against the car and immediately placed him in handcuffs under arrest. He drove 10 to 20 yards after being told to stop, which is why the officer yelled at him. Scheffler tried to explain that he did not know the man was telling him to stop. He didn't understand that was a police officer. Again, he thought that was some sort of traffic guy. He was wearing a yellow vest, was not in traditional police garb. Scottie has been released. He started playing today, his round. I don't know if he's started yet. I think it's a later tee off.
It was 10:08 tee time is what I saw.
10:08?
Yeah.
All right, then 10:08 is, so he is underway. I'm going to look up his score right now. But he was arrested, detained in a jail cell, took a mug shot on his way. They backened up the tee times for the day by an hour. To give him, I think, a chance. This was Michael S. Kim via X.com as well. I assume Scottie thought there was a small issue causing some traffic. And with a courtesy car, cops usually let us go through ahead so we're not caught up behind unnecessarily. Scottie was probably just thinking, quote, I need to get out of this. I need to get to the course to start my routine on time. Obviously, with the circumstances, the cop was on edge and not letting anything go. So he was driving past the cop. The cop told him to stop. He drove like 10 yards further. Boom, arrested. This is what he was charged with. He was charged with second-degree assault of a police officer. And based on every report we've seen, he did not assault any police officer.
Which, by the way, is 8 years in prison.
Are you serious? 8 years in prison?
That's what I just looked up earlier. It was 8 years in prison.
Oh, my goodness. Third-degree criminal mischief, reckless driving, and disregarding traffic signals from an officer directing traffic. That is 4 crimes he has been charged with heading into his morning round, when honestly, that poor guy was just trying to get there. He was just trying to show up and have a good time. Not the case. I'm trying to think of a story that rivals this. I don't think there's ever been anything like this, Casey. A guy on his way to a game, detained, arrested, charged with 4 crimes, and then, he's able to make that tee time.
Yeah, I've never heard of anything like this before. It was very just nuts, in my opinion. And we have a video.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the vest itself. Depending on how those officers were wearing it, you wouldn't know that he's an officer. Like, just standing there straight. You would see police on the back, and you'd see the badge maybe. But if he's not zipped up, you won't see that he's a police officer.
Yeah.
He's just wearing, like, a normal neon yellow green vest. And the fact that it's only 10 to 20 yards, too, it's not like he went, like a mile.
Yeah.
10, 20 yards is not – it's like from this wall to the wall over there.
Yeah.
It's not that much. It's not crazy.
And shout out to Justin. Justin put it in the chat. It was a serious – like, the cops were there for a reason. Somebody did, unfortunately, pass away. There was a serious incident. Somebody lost their life, and that's why these cops were on edge. They were trying to deal with the situation that's, difficult to deal with at whatever time it was in the morning. So – brutal scene, but this was the video of Scheffler dealing with the authorities here.
Guys. Dude,
Step back. Back up.
I'm back. I'm back. Guys.
Dude,
I'm staying back.
Here's the thing. Right now, he's going to jail.
Okay.
He's going to jail.
I mean, look at that vest.
And it ain't nothing you can do about it. Period. There's nothing you can do about it.
Okay.
Okay. Now, do you have
First,
a question?
I'm media. I'm a reporter. Okay. So that's all.
That's fine.
I just want to make sure that's
okay.
known.
But you need to step back over here now.
No problem. You got it.
Okay.
That's wild.
I was just making sure there was no obscenities. I didn't watch that video beforehand. That was my first time watching it. What an absolute joke, man. That is the world's number one. That is the world's number one golfer being put in handcuffs, going to jail. Probably, and I'd argue I don't know many of these guys personally on tour. I don't know any of them on tour. But if I had to put like a meter for the nicest guy on the PGA Tour, Scottie Scheffler's probably at the nicest guy meter. He's probably at the highest level of niceness one can attain. And having him put in handcuffs in the back of a cop car, heading to jail before his morning tee time at a major championship, outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. Now listen, not everybody watches golf. They probably didn't know who that was when they did this. I imagine they're going to know who it was, or I imagine they knew who it was as soon as they booked him in jail. Like once this video started going viral. I don't know what that police department's. I don't know if they've released a statement yet. I guess I can try to find that right now as well. But that is absolutely preposterous that you don't have the self-awareness to think that maybe one of the world's best golfers is 1 minute away from the golf course he's playing at was just trying to get through. Now, if it's true that he wasn't like obeying the traffic laws, I have a hard time believing Scottie Scheffler was unwillingly like, I'm gonna drive past these cops and get to my. I don't think he was like that. I imagine. Again, we've seen the quotes. I imagine it was. He was just trying to get to his round. He didn't know if it was a cop or some traffic guy. He didn't know the situation. He didn't know somebody just died there. And he was just trying to get to his round. Absolutely horrible mishandling of that situation by the police.
There's not much more you can say about that. It's just it's wild that it even got to that point. The assaulting officer is a felony. An 8 years in prison deal like that.
Yeah.
That already is like beyond belief that it got to this point. And there's kind of conflicting reports, right? I mean, he had to have assaulted an officer, physically harmed him in order to
that's
get
what
that
the report
charge
says.
too.
But based on everything I've seen, I have not seen Scottie Scheffler physically altercate with any of these police officers. That's not what I've seen. If it comes out where all these things are true, then sure, maybe, that's on Scottie. But I don't. Based on what I've seen, he is obliged with everything that the police have said. They said get out of your car. He got out of your car. He got on his car, was in handcuffs, and that was it. That's everything that I've seen. And could I be missing something? Maybe.
Maybe they considered like driving past the officer reckless.
Yeah.
I don't. Reckless endangerment.
I think that's an absolutely crazy story. They want us to get back to Cincinnati sports talk. And by the way, listen, we love police officers. So whatever's saying that we hate police, let's calm down a little bit. It was a misunderstanding between the police and Scottie
Listen,
Scheffler.
if all those things are true and it wasn't Scottie Scheffler, we wouldn't be talking about it. But it's the number one golfer in the world getting arrested literally hours before he tees off.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to at least talk about it a little bit. That's
Correct.
one of the bigger stories right now.
That's absolutely correct. All right, so to end this segment, we are going to talk about a little bit of the NFL, the best videos we saw regarding the schedule release. This has been a fun little tradition, I think. And this is where Trace talked about it yesterday. You've talked about it. The NFL is so good at this stuff. They just know how to market the sports world. Where they take over a day, they have no business taking over. We got a major championship. We got the return of Caitlin Clark to basketball. We're dealing with the Cincinnati Reds. The MLB is in full swing. The NBA playoffs, NHL postseason. Everything's in full swing. But the world stops for schedule releases. Schedule releases, mind you, where we already know the opponents and where they're playing. We know all of it. But we just like to see it anyway because that's how important the NFL is to the sporting world. There was a couple videos I wanted to notice. And we're going to read the super chat here by Justin, $4.99. There were several wild mitigating factors that led to that event. That is a $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Justin. And that's regarding the Scottie Scheffler incident. But the schedule release thing is so silly to me because we know everything. We already know everything. We just don't know the time and the exact date of every single one of these games. But I will say it is fun for me to look at all the videos from every team that puts these out. I think the Tennessee Titans one, they did the same thing they did last year. They go on the street.
That was a good one.
They interview people who don't know sports, and they say, who is this team? What can you tell me about them? And then they just tell you nonsense. It's absolutely hilarious. I thought the Chargers one with the Sims thing was very, very funny, especially the part where they had Harrison Butker in the kitchen. That was wild. I think there was a couple good ones. The Patriots with Gronk and Edelman was absolutely hysterical. Casey, were there any in your mind that stood out?
I thought the Steelers one was pretty great with James Harrison.
Yeah.
Where it was just a bunch of dad jokes, and he's just like straight-facing, mean-mugging the entire time. I love that. Those were one of my favorite released videos. I thought the prank calls for the Dallas Cowboys, it was cool to see, like, our team in there, right? Like, Kay Adams represented us, Ocho, and then the mailman guy. I don't know what his name is, to be honest with you. But that was pretty cool to see. I thought the cake or not cake from the Commanders was kind of cool.
That was good.
That was a clever one. The Jacksonville Jaguars, the X-Men animated one, that was pretty fire. I like that one a lot.
How early do you think some of these teams go in advance for this? Like they're like 2 months ago, they're like, we got to start working on this schedule release? Or do you think some of them did it like last week?
Well, Miami Dolphins, did you see that one?
No.
It is the stupidest thing ever. Actually, you know
Can we
what?
play it?
I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it because it might be maybe the least amount of effort but most clever video you'll see for a schedule release video.
Yeah.
Here we go. I'm going to pull it up here. Just give me a second. Here we go.
The Arizona Cardinals was another one that didn't put any time or thought into this. But let's see this.
Yeah, this is just so you know, it's 22 seconds long.
Okay. Only 22 seconds, huh?
Yeah.
Finally, it's done. Let's do this. Let's watch it. It's perfect.
That was good.
It's just a play on them being one of the fastest teams in the NFL, so they just like blitz through it. Pretty funny. I like some of that stuff. It's not like super heavily edited, but it's just clever. I like stuff that's clever. But a lot of people did not like that one because of the least amount of effort to it. Did you like the Bengals one?
Can we? How long is that one? Can we play it?
We can play it. Have you watched it yet?
No, I've not.
Oh, you've not watched it?
I haven't seen the Bengals one.
It's not going to be great for the radio audience.
Okay.
So I'm not going to play it.
Okay. Just tell me what happens.
We'll play it later.
Yeah.
If we have time later. But it's just a bunch of Pee-wee kids going up against, like, Bengals mascots.
Oh. Did they get trucked?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Trace and Sean won't like that at all. Little inside baseball on that one. Yeah, the danger of that involved. Not great. But it's kind of cute. I don't know. I'm seeing
mixed results in our chat. I'm seeing mid.
I wasn't a big fan of it. Definitely one of the not my favorites of the year for sure. There was some other stuff too that I just thought was funny. Yeah. That people were releasing, and I sent you a couple of them.
I saw the Panthers one you sent me. That was very funny.
The Panthers one, I'm trying to remember. Was that the
song one?
Yeah, where your team's on the schedule, whatever their songs were, and they did Kendrick Lamar's diss track, where he dropped that Drake was a pedophile.
Oh,
yeah, they did that one for the Browns. that was great. That was awesome.
No.
That was clever. Some of that stuff though. It just shows that NFL's king, man.
What about this? What about this? You sent me this. Despite Taylor Swift, this is per Dove Kleiman. You sent me this yesterday. Despite Taylor Swift having her Eras tour, she will be able to attend 14 Chiefs games next season. The 3 games she won't be able to attend: October 20th, the Chiefs play the 49ers. October 27th, the Chiefs versus the Raiders. And December 8th, the Chiefs host the Chargers. So it's looking like the NFL took a glance at her tour schedule.
Yeah, per Mike North, NFL VP of Broadcast Planning, they took Taylor Swift's concert schedule into consideration when planning around the NFL schedule. I think that is the most wild thing to ever admit. Like, could you imagine just I don't know, it feels weird. It feels like the thing that I talked about, how we kind of schedule, like the Dallas Cowboys get an easy one, like a layup on Thanksgiving. Feels more and more true by the day when they admit stuff like this. It's not really going to affect the game all too much, but it's just weird that they would adhere to Taylor Swift's schedule.
Yeah.
Like, who else are they adhering to? Like, it just feels like they would just do whatever the ownership wants, right? Why are they adhering to Taylor Swift? So I thought that was weird. But, I mean, at the same time, she is one of the most influential people in the world, and she is involved with one of the teams in the NFL. So, I don't know. Good business for the NFL, I guess.
Very good business for the NFL. And listen, we're going to head to our final segment of the day. I got an NFL buy or sell for you, Casey. I think you're going to like it. But that's it. 1410 Wing AM. We'll be right back. And welcome back into Chatterbox Sports Off the Bench. If you've been watching on YouTube, I just have to repeat the same thing over and over. If you've been listening to the radio, these have been new for you. So it's like it's a smooth transition every single time. I think that's a little wild, but it is cool to see nonetheless. We are glad to have everybody watching and listening. If you are listening in your car or radio, check us out on YouTube. There's a lot of cool people in the chat. You want to do a chat shout out? Since we didn't have time for chat power rankings, let's do a chat shout out. Shout out to Fred M, Mark Fetters, Blackmore. Shout out to Sean Connor, our good friend. RM, Chase Wellman, Max Vickers, Nate. I won't read the whole name. I guess just Nate for Nate Seltzer, but now I just read your whole name. Natty Ron's there. We have Adam House, aka Chi-Town Real Estate. You need to go back to Chi-Town Real Estate because it's a little off-putting reading all that. And I'm just trying to figure out who you are, but I know it's Chi-Town. Other than that, who am I missing? Justin Edgel. Shout out to you.
Natty Ron.
Did I say Natty Ron? Natty Ron. Anybody else that's been an active part of today's show? I said Max.
Scott Arnold.
Matt Bailey. Who?
Scott Arnold. Matt Bailey.
Scott
Paul
Arnold.
Painter.
Was Scott Arnold here? I don't know Scott Arnold.
Yeah, I see him in the chat.
How about that? Well, shout out to everybody watching on YouTube. Shout out to every one of you who are listening on the radio. If you got time, check us out on YouTube. I think it's a more fun show video-wise, but we try to do our best on the radio as well. Now, we're going to transition this, Casey, into a buy or sell. NFL edition.
Here we go.
Buy. Sell.
That's good. That's really good. All right, Casey, here we go. Buy or sell. The Cincinnati Bengals should be expected to win 11 games this season.
Should be expected to win 11.
Because I predicted yesterday on the show they'd win 10 games. And I heard in the chat, that's a terrible record, Elliot. They're going to win 12 easy. So I took that into the buy or sell. Buy or sell.
So we're saying their over-under is 10.5, which is...
They should win 11 games.
Which is probably where it's at right now.
As a fan, you're looking at this schedule and saying, this team needs to win, should win 11 games.
I'm going to buy that. I think you look at the expectations of this team and where they're wanting to go, how they've built the roster. They've already said that this is kind of like their all-in moment, right? Like they are riding this train one more time with T. Higgins. We are going to go all in this year for a Super Bowl run. They got to win more than 11 games in order to have a good chance of doing that. I'm not saying they can't do it by just winning 11 games. They did it with just only winning 10 and making it to the Super Bowl. But if they want their best chance of making it back to the Super Bowl, 11 games is not going to cut it. It's got to be that 13. I think 13 is the sweet spot. So that's what I would say. Now, do I expect that? Probably not. It's a little hard to do that in our division. But 11 games, even if you lose every single or if you only win one or two of the AFC North games, 11 games is
more than
attainable. I think we even said that there's 8 games in there that are just, in our minds, got to be wins, right?
100%.
So like you're playing teams like the Patriots, Commanders, Giants, like all those games they should win. So yeah, I mean, I feel like 11 games, I'm going to buy that. They should win 11 games.
I'm going to agree with you. I think this team should win 11 games. They should be expected to win 11 games. I went in yesterday and predicted they'd lose every divisional game because that's what happened last year, and it frustrated me. You can't expect to be successful if you lose all of your divisional games. That's an obvious thing to say. But here we were last season, and it was. I know you lost Joe Burrow. I get all of it. I understand it. But at the end of the day, you play in the world's toughest division. At least I think so. We can have a debate on that in a second. You have to win these division games. You have to split. If you give me a 3-3 record in the division every year, I'm going to be happy because you're playing some of the best coaches, you're playing some of the best quarterbacks, you're playing some of the best teams in the National Football League, and to get to 11 wins, 3 of those wins, in my opinion, have to come from the division. If you're able to win 3 divisional games, you are going to win 11 games. So yes, I'm buying.
Did they do it? This is going off the track a little bit on this fire style. Did they do enough to compete in the AFC North? They bolstered up the offensive line. They got 2 stalwart right tackles now. They beefed up the interior defensive line. They lost DJ Reader, but they did enough, in my opinion, to replace that with Chris Jenkins and McKinley Jackson and Sheldon Rankins.
Yeah.
Do you think that's enough to change the tides if you have a healthy Joe Burrow?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. I think, Joe Burrow is the most important piece. As long as the defense shows up every once in a while, we're going to be fine. Next buy or sell. Speaking of our man, Joe Burrow is going to stay healthy all season long. Now, when I say this, I'm not saying like you can get a little banged up in an NFL season. Everybody knows that. I'm going to say he plays in at least, what do you think, 16 games? That's staying healthy.
Okay. So he can miss 1 or 2 games.
Yes. I'll give him 1 miss or 2.
I already feel like we should expect him to maybe miss a game or 2 because of what he said about his wrist, and maybe I'm looking into it a little too much. And the schedule might allow him to we talked about this, me and Jacob, how we have some mini bye weeks, so it might not matter as much. The first 8 weeks, are normal NFL season, but then we have those 2 Thursday night games that kind of help give that buffer of a mini bye week here, a bye week there, and then another mini bye week leading into the end of the season. So maybe the wrists will be healthy enough. I'm going to buy this. I think he's not going to miss more than 1 or 2 games. I'm expecting the reason why he would miss it is because of the wrist. He's already said he's going to try to listen to his body more often and just stay available. And in order to do so, you need to take rest. You need to take time off in order to do that. I think that's a very attainable thing if you are only missing 1 or 2 2 games. So I'll say yes. I don't. Let me be very clear, though. I don't want him to miss 1 or 2 games. I want him to do what he thinks is best for himself. And if that means he's got to miss a game, I feel comfortable with Jake Browning winning you a game versus, like, the Giants or whoever. Well, the Giants doesn't. I don't know if he would miss a primetime game. But you get get my point.
I get your point. And for me, I hate to do this, Casey, and I don't want to do this, but this is the pessimist in me. We've had an issue pretty much every season he's been here, and I don't like to say it, but I'm going to sell it. I don't think he's going to be healthy all season, and maybe it's not going to be because of any fault of his own. I just have seen too many times now where he hasn't been healthy the entire way, and I don't think that's going to just change this season, especially coming back from a wrist injury. I'm seeing different reports from different Twitter doctors. Whether or not these people are real, I don't know. But I've seen some people say he's going to be 100% fine. You're not going to see any change of it. I've seen Dan Horde at practices say there's no noticeable difference in his throws. He looks fine. I've seen some guys say, yeah, there might be a couple issues this season dealing with the wrist. So I don't know what to think. But I'm going to say right now, I don't have full confidence that Joe Burrow is going to be healthy and available to play in every single game this year.
Let me push back just a tiny bit. If you look at his rookie season when he got hurt, right? When he came back, he played in 50-something plus games in a row after that injury. So that 2021 season, 2022 season, leading into the 2023 season before he got hurt last year, he played in 50 games in a row. So he doesn't miss games even when he gets his pinky, like, obliterated or whatever, like, small little injuries, like the calf injuries, things like that. He'll still play and he'll be hurt. That's why this buy or sell is a little, like, I don't know, like, are we including, like, the calf thing as in staying healthy? Cause,
of course it does.
Every
little thing matters.
If that's the case, then no, because I already expect his wrist to be a little sore. So if we're going that direction, being like that technical about it, then no. But I don't expect him to miss a whole lot of games.
All right, that's fair. And I think we both sell on that. But Casey, obviously, more optimistic than me. We're going to take a look at this one. I saw this, interestingly enough, on the Colin Cowherd show, I think yesterday. Mike Tomlin is going to have his first losing season this year, buy or sell. Now, before you answer, I was looking at what Cowherd was trying to tell me. Or what he was trying to tell his audience on his show, and he said it's the hardest post-Thanksgiving schedule he's ever seen. So starting on November 10th, they play the Commanders. After that, this is their schedule. Ravens once, Browns once, Bengals once, Browns twice, Eagles once, Ravens twice, Chiefs, Bengals twice. You are playing every single divisional opponent twice after Thanksgiving, just about, almost after Thanksgiving. That is absolutely brutal.
Yeah, that is brutal.
And that includes presumably all these teams are playoff teams. So that's Ravens twice, Browns twice, Bengals twice, Eagles, Chiefs. Every single one of those teams is predicted right now to be a postseason team. Yeah, I think Mike Tomlin's about to experience his first losing season, especially with the mystery that is their quarterback position. Is it going to be Fields? Is it going to be Wilson? Wilson, we know, is going to start. They've already said that. It's not a competition yet. But if they start losing games early, yeah, Justin Fields might come in.
Yeah, and what a slow burn that'll be, because that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
That's 8 games, right? You have 8 games of just back-to-back tough games. That is a brutal schedule.
That's the hardest, Casey. That's the hardest I've never seen a team have all 6 of their divisional games in an 8-week stretch at the end of the season. I don't know if I've seen that.
And it's not even just that. They have the same 10-day, 3-game stretch that we do, and it's Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs. Oh, that is brutal. Yeah, I kind of agree with him. Not to mention, like, they play the Cowboys early on. I think the Chargers are going to be a little harder this year to play against. They're going to be a lot more hard-nosed. You already know what my thoughts are on the Falcons.
Yeah.
The Colts, I think, could have a really good season if Anthony Richardson stays healthy. And who knows what the Jets bring with Aaron Rodgers. And, I mean, that's a brutal schedule if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. So you are buying with me. I'm going to buy this. Mike Tomlin's about to have his first losing season.
I'm not buying.
You're not buying?
I'm not buying.
What?
Listen, what has he proven to make you believe that he's going to have a losing season? He had a winning season with Kenny Pickett as his quarterback, with Mason Rudolph, with Duck Hodges, or it doesn't matter who's that quarterback. They always seem to find a way to win. The guy that makes the difference is T.J. Watt. When he's in the lineup, they are way above 500. Doesn't matter. When he's out, they are way below 500. He's the biggest difference maker on that team. As long as he's healthy, they'll have a good season. 9-8, 10-7, or whatever
Casey and I are on different thoughts on there. Here we go. 2 more. They can't win it again, can they?
It's hard to do so. I don't think there's ever been a
three-peat.
There's only been like 1 or 2, maybe 3-peats.
I don't remember. Did the Cowboys do it? I don't know. These are
check.
These are facts I don't know. Either way, I'm taking a look at this Chiefs schedule, and I'm going to read it out right here. They start the season, as we know, with Ravens-Bengals. They play a tough Falcons team, and at least in my opinion, on the road immediately after that. Then the Chargers on the road after that. They get a little bit of a breather with the Saints at home. Then they go back to the 49ers on the road. They get a little bit of a breather with the Raiders on the road. Then they play the Bucs, playoff team last year. They do play a bad Broncos team, and there's no doubting that. After that, they play the Bills on the road, and then they have to play the Chargers, obviously, again. They play the Browns. They play the Texans, who are a playoff team. They play the Steelers, who, as of right now on this very day, is a good team. So they're getting roughly like 4 bye games is what I would call them. 4 bye games that they're not very good. I would say no. I'm gonna doubt Patrick Mahomes for 1 second, and I'm gonna say the Chiefs struggle for the first time in a little bit. I'm gonna say they get into the playoffs, they win 10 games, but they're not gonna win our Super Bowl again. They're not gonna do it.
There's never been a 3-peat. I just looked that up.
Never been a 3-peat.
Chat was just bombarding me that there's never been a 3-peat. I probably should have known that. But saying that, I don't think that they can win it again, because history has shown that even the greatest teams that you can recall in recent memory that have won back-to-back were not able to do it for a third time. Not even the Patriots' great dynasty, the Dallas Cowboys, the Steelers dynasties, all those great dynasties, the San Francisco dynasties, none of them ever 3-peated. So that being said, I don't think they can win it again. I would be very shocked if they did.
I would be very sad if they did.
Yeah, I'd be very sad.
And I'm going to agree with you. So we're both on the same train there. And the final buy or sell to end our show. There won't be a team with 5 wins in the AFC North. 5 divisional wins.
So
nobody goes 5-1 in the division.
Yeah, I'll buy that.
I'm going to buy it as well.
Yeah, I don't think that there's going to be a team that I think the highest is 4-2. And I would be shocked if that happens.
Yeah.
I think we all split with each other, to be honest with you. If we're all healthy, if the Browns are healthy, Steelers are healthy, Ravens are healthy, Bengals are healthy, it's going to be straight down the middle, I think. And that's a pretty good spot to be in, I think, in terms of competitiveness. 5 wins is just so hard to imagine because of just some of the stats that they have for the AFC North. Like, teams just don't play well against each other at their house. Like, you go to Baltimore, you're losing. You go to Pittsburgh, you just lose. You go to Cincinnati, you just lose. Unless you're the Browns.
Yeah.
You go to Cleveland, you just lose. So it's just, that being said, I can't see them having a team with 5 wins.
I agree with you. I'm going to sell that as well. I guess I'll buy it. I'll buy that as well. There will not be a team with 5 wins. And that's it. Look, so that's our show. Thank you, everybody, for hanging with us. This has been Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Hopefully Monday we got some more bodies in here. Hopefully you enjoyed
more cast of characters.
Hopefully you just enjoyed Casey and I today.
We'll
and shout out
Jacob.
to Reds Daily, Greg, for coming on our show today as well. Thank you to the chat. I can't say this enough. Those of you who tune in every single day to watch us, those of you who interact with us in the chat. I know I couldn't see too much of it because I had to talk a lot today, and Casey had to talk a lot today, so we couldn't interact too much in there. We thank you very, very much, because without you, we quite literally don't have jobs. So thank you very much for giving us that. Kinner and Kev, I believe. I don't know if it would just be Kinner. I don't know if it would just be Kev. Who knows what's going on? I think Kinner's going to be in here around noon. That show will take place. Members, next week we're coming at you. We'll be with you. We promise you that. We are done with the nonsense that is the outside part of this company that nobody else knows about, hopefully for the foreseeable future, to give us some time with you guys, to give you some more content. That is it. That's Off the Bench. Thank you for listening on the radio. Thank you for watching on YouTube. Have a great, an absolutely great weekend. Please. We'll see you guys soon.
All right.
Just us?
Just us now. Just the YouTube folk
Yeah.
and whatnot. Just going to hang out for a little bit.
Was that Kinner or was that Trace? Who just walked in just then?
It was Kenner.
Okay. So we can get Kinner in here and we can get this thing going.
Yeah. What we're going to do for the next couple minutes, I'm going to edit
Yep.
the audio. If you want to just hold their attention for a little longer so we can
Sure.
get that transition that we want for
Well, I'm
Kinner show.
gonna bring Kinner in here if that's okay.
Yeah,
So let's-
go ahead and bring Kenner in here.
So let's do that.
Yeah, so we're gonna do Kinner's show. I'm gonna transition us right into that. If you guys just want to hang out with us for a little bit, again, let's see here. I'm just looking at the chat. I know, Joey, the delusional Reds fan, you want Quiplash. We will get you Quiplash soon. Monday. What people don't know in the chat is we go and do events like every other day of the week. We're doing something like a graduation, a baseball game, a video board event, and we're just spread thin, especially during the March, April,
Yeah.
May months. That's the peak of college baseball. So it's just been tough for us to do stuff for the members. This is the final week for all that. So we will be more consistent. We have a schedule all planned out. We'll talk more about it on Monday. We hope that you guys enjoy it. I know we've said stuff like this in the past, but seriously, this time we have a plan. We have a whole thing planned out for you guys schedule-wise. We have plenty of bodies to get it done.
Yeah, so Casey, you edit that.
Yep.
Kinner's going to get set up, and we're going to start exactly at noon, and we're going to transition this audience with you. So we're going to get that all fired away, squared away here. Yeah, so if you want any questions you have in the chat, any funny, silly questions, throw them in there. Please throw them in there. I want any wild question you have. Mark Fetter says, I'll believe it when I see it. Mark, you can believe it whenever you want. I'm just saying it's going to be the truth. Listen, Casey got home at 10:30 last night. I got home at 8:30 last night. Nobody's having fun. We're just trying to get through it, all right? We're just trying to get through it. We will be back at you. Have you washed your socks, Elliot? Joey? Yes, I have. That's a good question, actually. I have washed my socks. I washed them, I want to say on Sunday. Usually I wash my outfits every Sunday, and then I get them all ready for the week, and then I have them good to go. And by the way, yes, even though I live at home, I do my own laundry. So shout out to me. As a 25-year-old man in his parents' home, he does his own laundry. I'd like a medal for it. What's the Quiplash code by Mark Fetters? I wish I had one. Confess you framed Casey, says Blackmore. No, I didn't frame Casey. I didn't frame him at all. Casey brought a cow into his high school and he shoved it. And you're supposed to be editing. You're supposed to be editing. And he shoved it down the stairs. That's what he did. He knows he did it. And we're gonna fight through it together. Listen, I love Casey like a brother, and I know the crime that he committed. But families don't abandon families, even when they do a heinous crime such as that. Natty Ron, good to see you. Thank you for joining our show today. We love you very much, Natty Ron. Will the Reds sweep the Dodgers? Listen, I'm not going to say there's a 100% chance, but as of right now, I'm going to say it's 75% chance. The Reds are going to sweep the Dodgers in the City of Stars in L.A. I think there's a chance. The Reds own them. The Reds, they have their number. Tyler Glasnow looked like a scrub yesterday, and that's because of the fear that this Reds lineup puts in his heart. That's a fact. Will the Reds sweep the Dodgers season series? No, they can't win them all. But they're going to be close. They are going to be close. That's an absolute fact. I bet they win 5 games. 5 out of 7. They're going to win 5 out of 7. I'm not going to answer any of those questions. You know which questions, you silly gooses. Who starched a tube sock? I don't know what that means, Justin. Nate says, Elliot slept over at my house when he was like 10 years old, probably. He left all his laundry and did not do it by himself at age 10. What makes us think he does it at age 25? Here's the thing, Nate. I went to your house, and it's a great house. I'm not going to lie. I love the Seltzer house. I won't tell the address to probe you or whatever that is, whatever the term is. Dox you. There it is. I found the word. Every once in a while, my brain works. And I was there. They have a memorabilia portion of their house where I'm not kidding. If anybody saw it, it's probably worth like $100,000 down there. They've got an autograph of every professional athlete known to the world. Every professional athlete's bat known to the world. Basketballs, baseballs, bats, everything. Everything that has to do with sports, some professional athlete has signed it and sent it down to that basement. That's the coolest basement in the world. Blackmore, you're just not going to get me to respond to it. I know you want me to. Listen, I'm not going to respond to it ever. I'm not going to respond. Mark said, Mark, come on, Mark. Chase, how do you take your coffee? Don't drink coffee. Never have drunk coffee. Never in my entire life have I tasted a sip of coffee. The only coffee you can convince me to take is that stuff that's not really coffee that Starbucks makes, where it's like a frappuccino with caramel and milk and all the stuff that probably gives people diabetes. Next up, what's another one? Boxers or briefs? Boxers, I think. I think I'm a boxers guy. I think I am. I don't know what kind. No, it's definitely boxers. I wear boxers. Yeah. Thank you, Adam. That's a really good question there. Justin, no comment. Can you win a game of Quiplash? I haven't won in a long time, Joey. It has been a long time since I've won Quiplash. A little too long, if I want to be honest. Ideal first date spot. That's a good question. Let me think of that. Hold on. Probably it would be a bar or dinner before the Reds game. You go to the Reds game, you have fun. Reds games are a great spot because it's just a casual place. Now, if the kiss cam does show up, that's a do or die move. That's something that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy because there's a lot of pressure that goes into that. So I wouldn't wish the first date kiss cam on a young couple or an old couple, any couple. That's a pressure-filled situation. That's where the big leaguers show up. Which team wins a championship first, Reds or Bengals? I would have bet my life that the Bengals would have won one just because it's easier. I think the path to getting to a Super Bowl is a lot easier than to have a successful season in 162 games, make the playoffs in 7 5-game series, 3-game series. I think that whole path is easier in the NFL. Saying that, I do think Reed is somewhat right. There's a bigger chance for underdog success stories in the MLB postseason. The Rangers weren't the best team in the league last year. There was a stretch where the Rangers were one of the worst teams in baseball. The Diamondbacks won 84 games, or 83 games, went to a World Series. So I think there's a chance the Reds win one first. But realistically, I'd probably say Bengals. Kiss cam fist bump is not good. No, that would be a disaster, Mark. That would be the end of that guy's life, probably. Fred, I saw that. So I was at the Reds game. And it was the kiss cam, and there was a girl, and a guy. It was like that, and I think the camera op thought it was going to be the guy and the girl that were going to kiss. The girl went to the guy, faked him out, and then I don't know what the situation. I don't know. Maybe it was a prank, or maybe it was intentional. She kissed the girl, and the whole stadium gasped. That was a great moment by whoever she was. I would honestly like to meet her because that is an incredible moment of the kiss cam. Chase, nice. Let's see. Anybody else? FCC. Listen, I just don't care. I wish I cared. I wish I knew anything about soccer. I wish I did, but I don't, and I don't care. They scored in the first 7 minutes of that game, and they didn't score. Nobody scored again. How do you pay $120 for that? It just baffles me. I'll never understand it. They sat there for 90 or 83 minutes and did nothing. But to each their own. Everybody has their own thing. Scottie Scheffler winning the PGA Championship. Yeah, 100%. Game of Thrones Season 5 stinks, Justin. Yeah. Season 5 stinks. They have one good episode in that season. One really good episode. And then the rest of the episodes, blah. The late night games are brutal. Yeah, I would say so. The 10-10 start time is absolutely preposterous. Shout out to my grandparents who watch and they make fun of my word preposterous. It is absolutely preposterous that the Cincinnati Reds play games at 10:10 on a weeknight, on a school night, on a work night. Absolutely outrageous. And this is whenever you go to the West Coast, you have to deal with this nonsense because they want to change it to 3-hour difference. Like for Jolly Jolly's people, stop changing times for the people of L.A. Stop doing it. If they want to wake up at 4, they can wake up at 4 our time. That's what I say. L.A., they don't have real sports fans. That's a fact. Bars for the Reds game tonight? Bars? What do you mean bars? Explain that. Can I edit the audio so I feel like a teammate? Adam, you are a teammate. I'll tell you what. If the Reds go on a 30-game win streak, I'll tattoo your name on my face. That's a fact. Spit some bars. That means he means. What am I supposed to spit? See, this is where some of the slang you kids use today. I just don't know. I just don't know what you want me to do with that information. Who is Jimmy Collins? Who is Jimmy Collins? Oh, is that the Notre Dame kid? That's the Notre Dame kid, right? That's coming here, Casey?
Who?
Jimmy Collins?
Yeah, that's right.
Did you edit it?
Yeah, we're ready to go here in just a second.
All right, good. Kenner, I don't know if you texted Casey the guest today. I haven't looked at my phone in the last 5 minutes. I've been rambling. Yep, you did. Good for you.
Good to go.
That's a professional move.
You still on? You
Kenner,
on right now?
Oh, yeah. I'm on all the way.
on.
We're just going straight into it.
So it's that. It's just.
We're going to give our audience to you. It's like it's a passing of the torch, as it were.
Nice.
That way, because otherwise we close this out,
and then
they all leave. And
So
like,
Bobby will be on at noon, 12:30.
12:30. So now it is. Casey, are we good?
Yeah, I'm gonna end this and go to the next one.
Let me
Okay.
let me forward this to the old boss so he can get that posted for you guys. So you guys are on at 1. So 1 second.
Okay. So we're gonna wait. Hold on. Everybody, calm down. Any other questions? Rap equals bars. Yes, I know that. But oh, you want me to sing? Oh, you want me to sing? Blackmore. Okay, I see it. Is that what it is? Is that what you guys mean? Kenner or Kev? Who do you like the best? Interesting question.
Kev. Always go Kev.
Well, here's the thing. I know one of those two has slandered Hall of Famer Joey Votto, and the other hasn't.
The other's a Steelers fan. Which do you hate more, the Browns or the Steelers?
Oh, I hate the Browns more
so
now.
then there's your answer. You're welcome.
I hate the Browns more now.
And can I say the F word? Am I allowed to cuss yet?
Yeah, you can cuss right now.
No, I'm not going to say that.
You can say
I'm
it.
good. No,
What do you want to say? You can say shit. You want to say shit?
No, I was going to.
You want to get a shit out?
Heavy. I was going to go the F bomb.
Oh, you can say that too.
Nah.
I think my grandparents are watching,
Not
so I don't
feeling
want to
it.
say
I'm
it.
not
They get
feeling
real
it.
embarrassed when I say
not
the F
feeling
word.
it.
But it's a word that a lot of people use. It's an adult word. Is Reed delusional? Yeah, a little bit. Sometimes he's a Cubs fan. You can't not be completely delusional. Frank Sinatra. You guys want Frank Sinatra? I do have to pick a song. If the Reds win this series. I don't know who it's going to be yet, but it's going to be something good. Maybe Phil Collins. Maybe I do Phil Collins. Do a drum solo in the air tonight.
Can you shout it?
Huh?
Something familiar with the strangers like me, right? Phil
Wow,
Collins?
that is Phil Collins.
Yeah.
Listen, you could have named a lot of Tarzan songs. I didn't think you were going to go Strangers Like Me. That's a good one, though. That's a very good one. Are we good to go?
Yeah, I'm going to end this stream, guys. Thank you so much. Hop on over to the other stream here. It's going to kick you over there anyways, but yeah.